problem is I get distracted from the other stuff, and I decided to try it out, and I had a great time. I used Hammer, which is like a debugging system that works absolutely fantastic between Basilisk over the Mac over to the physical message pad, and I was super surprised, and I was surprised that I didn't use it before. And they have this wonderful function where you can say, oh, just dump a range of memory, whatever it is. And it took me a while, but I figured out where the PCMCIA cards exactly have their physical location in memory. And I dumped that memory. It's actually two different positions, but yeah, that's just technicalities. And tried to plug the whole thing into Einstein, and took a few days, but I got it to work, and it's pretty funny. And since I dumped one of my old cards that I found in some big box, and it wasn't written anything on it, but when I put it in, I suddenly had all the addresses from friends from 20 years ago. And it's really crazy. I didn't expect that, and it brought back some pretty insane memories. Like, oh my God, I remember that guy and that person, and yeah, so that was funky. And yeah, I'm planning on putting that into Einstein, of course, for everyone to use. And then I also want to at least explain how dump an existing flash, and since that is pretty difficult, we at some point might have a chance that maybe someone else can help a little bit, and we get this an app going on physical newtons, physical message pads that can dump any flash into yeah, onto host machines, and that we can use in Einstein.
Oh,
okay,
sweet.
So I
See,
can, yeah.
I told you you'd have magic.
Let me see if I can. Oh yeah, share screen. Oh, I can share the entire desktop. That's pretty nice. So here I have my version of Einstein, and if I go into names, yeah, there's Alice Restaurant, and that's pretty much it. And then I go on platform flash memory card, and it runs the database, gets the usual dialogues, and then I have a lot more addresses. Do I? I should have. Well, anyway, so it's basically working, or it is working, and the tests that I did was that I made a backup of the virtual machine onto a virtual flash card and brought it back, and that all worked. So I have a feeling that the whole thing is relatively stable for one of those quick shots.
okay, that's terrific. So I'm just trying to imagine, because at the moment, so if I bring up Einstein, it brings up my the master Einstein, if you like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're saying that you then have the ability to then have a copy of what used to be on a card, a virtual cards.
There are two things. There's just the general thing when you're here in Einstein, and you go into get the settings window, and you see it changed a little bit, and you go on PC cards.
Okay.
So there's one PC card, and you can just add another one. You say, oh, I want a 16 MB flash card, and you just add it, and you can add as many flash cards as you like. And that just generates a file on your computer that contains everything that's in the flash card. But you can also dump a flash card at some point from your physical machine and use that instead. And then you have a copy of your flash card on Einstein.
Okay. Because on a real Newton, you don't when you put the flash card in,
mm-hmm.
the whole environment sort of gets updated. because you can't see what's on a flash card and what's in memory unless you look behind the scenes. It sort of all seems seamless. So I'm trying to work out how you would. So if I start, let's say I had two flash cards, and then I wanted then to create a virtual flash card. Okay.
Yeah.
Then what would be the steps from the would I have, so I have to take my real Newton, okay, and then connect it, and then copy the package onto Einstein or something like that, or?
Oh, there are two different things. The one thing is you can, in Einstein now, or will be soon in the next version, you'll be able to create flashcards that are, of course, also just like Einstein itself, they're only virtual. The flashcards only exist as a file on your computer. But you can create as many as you like, and you can create big ones up to, I think, 32 megabytes is the maximum that Newton OS can handle. And you can have several, and you can exchange them anytime, just like you would on a physical machine. But that all stays within Einstein. The second part is then, since the file that you have, the virtual file that you have on your PC, represents a copy of any flash card, you can dump any flash card that you have from a physical, you make a copy out of it. Like you would, if you had two flash cards, you could make copies, physical copies of them. And we just make a virtual copy of them.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, seems so. I mean, I'd probably still want to use it in anger, which is to imagine saying, okay, I want to take what's on my physical Newton, my cards, and then create the Einstein equivalent. Okay. And initially on the Mac for me, and then try to then make that available to a handheld device. Okay.
Yeah, you could do that.
And that's, I mean, to me, that would be the migration from one world to the other. And then at any particular moment, I know that then wherever I am or whatever I'm doing, I'm using a consistent set of packages, and it's got a consistent snapshot of all my addresses and data as well.
Yeah.
So we're moving quite close to that type of working style.
Yes. I also know that some people need more space because Einstein only provides 4 megabytes of flash. And if you use more, it's prone to crash because Newton OS never planned on having more. But with the flash card to Einstein, that's completely transparent, and to Newton OS. So you can have, up to 32 megs plus the built-in 4 megs. So you can have 36 megs of flash now.
Wow.
In Einstein.
Yes, it's very difficult to imagine that. Yes. No, because I remember, I think it's called Newton Package Manager or something, which sort of compressed and expanded packages on the fly. So it was a way of managing that memory space. So you wouldn't need any of that in the Einstein environment.
No, you really have. Well, actually, you have 8 megs built in plus the whatever you put their flash card in, and you can change flash cards just like you would on a physical Newton. You can just take one out, put another one in. That works exactly the same way. It's again very low level emulation. So I'm hoping, and now I get to a third step. I hope I'm not jumping too far, but. I'm hoping that we maybe can get convince Paul to adapt his ATA driver. I don't know what you call it in English. The ATA driver to work with this. And then you could use an SD card that you put into a physical Newton and put the same SD card into your PC or Mac. and it would work with Einstein.
Okay.
So that would be nice. You could actually really work parallel. You can use your physical device whenever you want, and then when it's too big to carry around, you can swap it into your yeah, theoretically even into your Android phone. They support SD cards.
Okay. Because I remember that what it was called now. IBM had a I think it was a I think it was a 20 megabyte card or something like that. It was
Okay.
like a spinning disk, and
Oh
when
yeah.
you put it in, although Paul's software could actually read it, it took quite a long time to work with anything actually on that card. So you realise that the Newton itself needed to be much faster in order to work with bigger cards. So it was so. So to me, that would be that would be the advantage of Einstein, because you'd have much bigger cards or virtual cards, but you wouldn't have that speed penalty associated with it.
Yeah, I talked with Pavel a little bit about it, and he said that his experience is when you have cards that are larger than 32 megs, Newton starts to slow down.
Yeah.
The problem is that, like with every disk, or it's a database system, but with every database system, you got to keep a table of contents. And when your table of contents grows so much, it doesn't fit into the tiny RAM space of Newton OS anymore.
Right.
And then you have a huge disk, but you can't store the table of contents, and then it starts to do funky things and gets slow. But definitely something to explore. I think the physical limit is 64 megs. That's just how much PCMCIA can control.
Okay.
And,
Matthias, I have a question.
A second card.
Can I have a question?
Yeah.
About that 64 meg card in Einstein, that virtual card. So if you create that, did you create that huge virtual card with Einstein?
The current version doesn't have an interface for that yet.
Right. Okay.
But you can just did you just see the preferences panel I showed? Here, let me show you. Show you some stuff again.
Yeah.
It's
My
fun.
question. Meanwhile, my question is that if you create, let's say, if you create that big card, it will affect Einstein as it's affecting the real Newton, like you mentioned. I said about the slowing down the macOS. Do you think will affect or not?
It will affect what exactly? I didn't understand that.
My question is, for example, if you create 64 megabytes card and you put a lot of, let's say, data on that card on Einstein, like, for example, a lot of packages or application, etc. Do you think that will affect the speed of Einstein also or not?
Hard to say. I think we really have to try that out.
All right. Okay.
You may have seen just what I did is on Einstein, I inserted the flash card with the pull down menu, and now I remove the flash card again, and you can see in the extras folder how the apps are also removed that are on that particular flash card.
All right.
So it's exactly the same as having a physical flash card on a physical device.
Nice.
Well, that's good.
Nice. This is great. Yeah. So I'm happy to test the version when you can actually create the virtual card. Yeah. Because I'm wondering if I put a lot of software on that virtual card, how the Newton OS will work. Yeah. Because this is if that will not affect Newton OS on Einstein, that will be really great, because in this case you can put 64 megs. It's a lot of space for the software. Yeah. So you can put a lot of things there.
Yeah, we'll try it out.
I never saw the 64 megabyte linear card. I'm not sure if they exist. I saw 32.
They didn't exist when Paul did his ATA. There was no. Couldn't buy a 64. I think 20 megabytes is as much as you could buy, and then
30. I saw 32.
And then
but the price was crazy.
And today you wouldn't. What would be some sort of flash card anyway, and therefore we'll be talking about a different architecture for the card. Almost.
I think Frank could say a lot about that, how Newton managed with the cards, but Frank don't have a microphone. Frank, I'm gonna buy a really good microphone for you. No, I'm joking. So yeah, nice.
Yeah, Frank, do you need any hardware that to make it possible that you come in here? You can put it in the chat, or can we do anything? Okay. He might put it in chat or send an email.
Or Morse, send Morse code.
Simon, I wonder how your code writing is going. Are you writing anything these days, or?
You might have noticed that I've been rather quiet recently. No, I haven't been writing any code for Newton or Newton Connection or Newton Toolkit. Because, to be honest, I don't use my Newton anymore.
Yeah.
I have a old-fashioned notebook.
Oh, wow.
and a nice pen. And to be honest, it's a much more enjoyable experience.
You've gone back to the Filofax, is really what you're saying.
Yeah. So no, I'm kind of intrigued by Swift UI. So I might try to adapt Newton Connection to Swift UI, but that's just a fun project for me, and I don't think it'll really help anybody.
So how it will work, Simon? Could you tell a little more for a kind of explanation for noobs like me?
Well, Newton Connection, I think everybody knows, is just a way of connecting your Newton to the desktop. And Swift UI is just a new way of declaring a user interface using Apple's Swift programming language.
All right.
The advantage of it is it would work on any Apple platform. So in theory, you only have to declare or write your code once, and the platform or the Swift UI code adapts the interface to whatever platform it's on.
So even the NCX could work on iPad?
Yeah, in theory, yeah.
Wow. So the next step is, the next step, how to connect Newton to iPad.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Bluetooth, we have a Bluetooth module now, so yeah,
exactly.
Maybe.
I did try to write a Bluetooth adapter for it years ago, but I could never get it to work reliably with the Bluetooth PCMCIA, the PC card.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Which is a shame, because the Mac framework that does Bluetooth is very simple, but I just couldn't get the stack to work.
Yeah, but with the Bluetooth module from Newton, we can connect without any problem with the NCX. Yeah.
Okay, give me some time and we can work on it.
All right. Yeah.
Simon, as far as I'm concerned, you've done so much with Mail 5 already. If you never do anything again, you've already cemented your place in legend for me.
Thank you very much. That's good to hear.
Yeah, actually, Simon, the NCX software, for example, for me now, it's the most important application, because this is the only way how I'm using my Newtons now. Because without this software, I would be forced to set up another computer at my home, like an old Mac, and figure out how to transfer from the modern Mac to my old Mac. So probably kind of server between them, like a file server between them. But with the NCX, now it's really, easy, yeah? So we can just download the software or what we need and just upload on Newtons, physical Newtons. Yeah.
Well, welcome to the world that I live in, Powell. That's what I do all the time.
That's good. I sort of worked out when I started making it, it was going to be necessary, because as people upgrade their computers, they're not going to be able to run the original NC, Newton connection utilities. And that's why I like to keep updating it, but usually just cosmetically and to run with the latest Apple SDK, although I appreciate it's a bit out of date now, and a lot of it is cosmetically not great.
Yeah, but it's working. This is the most important.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Does Einstein connect to it? I've never really tried it with the serial emulation or anything.
There is a kind of glitch. I'm not sure where's that glitch, but I tried, but there is kind of connection between Einstein and NCX, but it's stuck somehow. Yeah. I'm not sure. I think I send you what's going on there. If not, we can go through this. Yeah.
Got around to test it. I know that I did take over some fixes from Paul's version of Einstein, and I hope that all the network stuff and trouble is fixed. But I still, I was wondering if anyone else or if anyone managed to connect to NCX. But I'll find a way. I'll find a way at some point.
It seems to connect okay. Powell generated a log, and I can see what the protocol exchange is doing. It's just, it seems to get out of sync, and I don't understand why. So when NCX asks for a list of the stores on the Newton device, it gets back the reply to some other request. And eventually it gets the right response, but by then it's too late, so it crashes.
Yeah, it may well be related. When we had to use on Windows to use slowdown to get the connection going at all, and I know there's something in the timing in Newton OS or in the hardware, which we obviously are seems to be emulating good enough to have the same problem, that the data just comes in too fast by today's for back then for 90 standards. So. Yeah, it seems not to be able to manage a continuous flow. Yeah, Simon, also, thanks for your other source code. I've been looking into this a lot. It's been really helpful with the PC card emulation and a lot of other things, just to find the hooks and sometimes find out how things are working. It's fantastic to see all the code and fantastic work.
Good. I had a lot of fun doing it. Spent far too much time on it.
I know.
Far too much. Yeah, it's amazing how I seem to be able to get so much other stuff done now. How did I ever have the time to do Newton stuff? Anyway.
Yeah, to me, the quarantine really gave me 1 month of continuous work, and that created the whole cross-platform stuff and all these things, and it's fun, and it's nice to see that my brain still knows how to deal with all that. Unfortunately, then sometimes when I see the current development, I mean, you're doing Swift. I wouldn't even start with that at this point anymore, because it's like, I got to somehow stay with C++ code, and also the whole licensing stuff. This is all so time consuming to learn, and Stephen Frank just sent me the entire step-by-step instructions, thankfully, how to get Einstein finally licensed and working correctly. And then I'll do another attempt to get this whole thing, or at least parts of it, into the Apple Store and maybe on iOS at some point. But don't hold your breath. This is all going to take a while.
Yeah, but you've done amazing things in just that couple of weeks. Every day, it seems, some major new interface is released.
Yeah, it's so funny. When I was when I was 18, 20, it was easy to get into the groove, and then of course nothing to do really besides university. So I was in the groove for like 2 days, 3 days in a row, And now at my age, it's gotten a lot more difficult, and I'm glad I can sometimes do it, and I have the time to do it. It's a little bit, yeah, a reminder of those times. That's fun.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I used to be able to keep the whole structure of an application in my head, but no more. I have to keep referring to my notes. Handwritten, of course.
Yeah. Hopefully I made notes back then, but yeah.
I'm surprised that you have gone back to the file of facts, because one of the original reasons I went from a file of facts to the Newton was because although I wrote everything in the Newton as if it was a file of facts and organized it the same way, when I wanted to search for anything, that was when the Newton beat the file of facts, because the file of facts forces you to think exactly how you're going to find it later on, and it became, for me, it became almost impossible, because my mind doesn't follow the same route every day, right? And I'd wake up the next day and I'd put it in a different place. But on the Newton, I could have that degree of what's the term, of instability, okay, but I would still be able to find it. So are you not suffering on the same thing?
I don't really take that many notes. And
Okay.
I kind of like the, although I don't use it anymore, in the early days of the Mac interface, where you just had a grid of icons, I would remember where the icon was without having to scroll through a big list of items.
Okay.
And so I know pretty much where I am in the book and what the page looks like that I took the note on, so I can go back to it that way.
Okay. But if you read something or you hear something and you want to just make a little side note, what are you using to do that nowadays?
I just scribble it down, but it would usually be something I'm researching online, and then I just bookmark it. It's not like I'm completely using paper.
Okay.
I do browse, but I can't, since the Newton doesn't do that for me, I don't use it.
Because in fact, I read, and again, this is quite a long time ago, but it appears to be appearing more and more. There's a German, I think his name is, he came out with something called Zettelkasten, and it's like a card index, and the idea is that you put all of your information, you write it on a piece of card, and you put the card into a box, okay, in an organized fashion. And that meant whenever you needed to find something on the card, it would tell you which other card you would need to look at. And he almost had 2 houses of this stuff, okay? And it's now being used as the model for making notes and being able to work with notes over 10, 15, 20 years, okay? And to me, the Newton does exactly the same thing, because it's searching everything in a free-like fashion. You didn't need it, okay, but I can see the benefits of thinking in that way. And I've forgotten his name now, but if you do a search on Zettelkasten, okay, then there's a whole community that's. I suppose I should probably tell them about the Newton, because they probably haven't heard about it before. I know. But to me, the file of facts model for the Newton is a rich scene, and that's why I'm quite keen on Einstein, because I think, you know, the Einstein as the virtualized Newton can carry forward that very simple way of working and keeping lots and lots of notes. Because I think years ago I thought that the Google search engine running on all these different platforms would collectively solve that problem. But Google seems to ebb and flow, and they do lots of things for Chrome, but they don't seem to bring that capability onto the Mac, for example. They're a shadow of what they deliver in their environment. So we're still left with you either choose your own favorite environment, or you suffer if you want to treat all environments in a particular standard fashion. It's not possible to do that. Good.
Hey, Matthias, I just got a new Samsung phone and tried running the Einstein on it, and it's stuck at this screen.
Oh yeah.
It's that new S20 with the massive screen.
Wow.
Any ideas?
Yeah. I have to release a new version. The current version is not working that well. I haven't seen it getting stuck at that point, but yeah. Which Einstein did you download for that? Where did you take it from?
It's the one that's on your page, the alpha version.
The MessagePad.org.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll have to look. Yeah. I just said in the chat, it's probably going to take 2 to 4 weeks for me to find time to get to it. But I really do want to, because it is basically running on my machine. But whenever I, for example, put the screen sideways, the whole thing crashes, and that's very annoying. Plus, I do want to get the sound to work again, so it becomes more and more of a usable machine again. That crash is surprising me because I thought that the progress bar was taken out. So maybe I have put an outdated version online. But I'll definitely post in the mailing list when I put a new version online.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah. I also want to report one problem with the newest alpha version.
Okay.
When I tried, because I constantly trying to use that decompile module. So I tried today because I downloaded that version today, and the problem is that I can open the application and I can do modifications, etc. But when I'm trying to build or run again that application, I'm getting the error. I send you that error on the Slack, so you should see that. It's a kind of error in the first 7th of line of the code, where is the kind of declaration for the application. Yeah, so I'm not sure if what I'm doing wrong, but I tried few different applications, not only that one which I want to change, but I tried few different applications and packages, and I'm getting the same error every time. Yeah, it doesn't matter which app it. Yeah, so I put it on the Slack, so you should get it. Yeah.
What would be cool if it's not a top secret application, just send me the package and I will try it out on my machine.
It's the same. It's a Avis backdrop.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it doesn't matter. I tried any random other application and the error is the same. So it's not about that application. It's about the how that compiler doing the job, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible. It's sometimes I don't know. I have to check. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me know. Thanks.
Yeah. So.
So Paolo.
Yes.
I was asking you before about airports, which airport to get.
Yeah.
And I started thinking, I've got a couple Raspberry Pis sitting here. So I was wondering whether I could set that up as an access point, and it works beautifully, sort of.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I've actually got an old Raspberry Pi 3 and I installed this thing called Rasp AP and set it all up with no authentication, just so I can get in. And here's the very first success I had, where I was able to connect to. But the problem I have now, though, is I seem to lose the DNS lookup for some reason. It's like the very first time I boot the thing up, it's fine. It can get, resolve the DNS and everything. But after that, it can't resolve anything again. Any ideas?
So what's your setup on Newton? Do you use DHCP or you have manual IP address?
I've got Newton? It set up to use DHCP. So it's able to get it initially. And then it seems like after about maybe 2 lookups, it can no longer successfully look up any host names.
Right. So first of all, try the manual setup. So
I tried that as well. The same result.
The same.
It's
all right.
like,
okay.
Yeah.
I had that before, and what I did, I'm not sure. I'm gonna tell you guys. Maybe someone will give me a help, because I had the same very similar problem with my Newtons working with NPDS before. That was like a year ago. I thought I break something or something like this. What kind of very weird things I get? So for example, when I use one Wi-Fi card with my Newton, I was able to connect with my access point, etc., and suddenly I couldn't get connection. That was kind of bunch of errors from Newton Internet Enabler, etc., etc. I tried to reboot Newton. I tried to reboot the access point, etc. Nothing happened. I couldn't get any connection. What I did, I just took out the Wi-Fi card and I put completely different Wi-Fi card for a second to the Newton. Just I put that card inside of the Newton and I take out the card and I back to the original Wi-Fi card and everything started working. I'm not sure what happened, but that was my kind of solution for when the Wi-Fi card stopped connecting with the internet. Yeah, I just eject the card A, let's say. I put for a second the different card, and I back to the original Wi-Fi card. I'm not sure, probably kind of, I don't know, preferences or kind of, data about Wi-Fi card in the Newton software or something. I never figure out what was the cause of this. But at this point, I don't have that problem. And what I would suggest to you, it's just select what was the name of this? When you create the Newton setup, internet setup on the Newton, you need to pick up the work site or something like this. When you so try to create another work site and change for a second to the second work site and go back to your original one. Maybe that will help. Yeah. Sometimes this is the problem, because I think Newton Internet Enabler have a kind of glitch or problems when you pick up the wrong setup. Yeah. Technically, the setup is okay, but sometimes I think Newton Internet Enabler cannot read the settings properly. Yeah. So that maybe that will help. Yeah. And I'm using all the time. I'm using static IPs. Yeah. Some of a lot of people just reporting the DHCP working fine for them, so it's fine. But I'm using static anyway. Yeah. So, and then I'm not putting the DNS. I'm not using my router IP, like internal IP, as a DNS, but I'm using, for example, direct Google DNS, like 8888 or something like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in the manual setup you can enter any DNS you want. Yeah. So this is how I'm using this. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I ended up setting up. Sorry, go ahead.
And back to that, your Raspberry Pi as an access point solution. Yeah, any access point can work without the encryption. Will work technically, should work with the Newton. The problem is most of the modern routers or access points do not offer anymore the no encryption option. Yeah. So this is the problem actually. Yeah. Because you cannot create SSID without the encryption on them, and this is the reason why that access point or router cannot work with Newton. But yeah, if you can set up no encryption on the Raspberry Pi, yeah, it can work.
Yeah,
but I
works
think
great.
But I think the old airport is cheaper than Raspberry Pi, so.
Well, I just happen to have two of them sitting here, so I figured
All right,
might as well
okay,
try it
so,
out.
Yeah. Okay, so the next step is done.
Yeah, I'll try setting up the other work site and see if that helps.
Yeah, I mean, set up the other one, switch, for example, for a second, just switch on the different work site and go back to your original one. Yeah, usually it's working. If not, just you know, we can try to catch me on Zoom or something, and we can try the different options. What kind of card, Wi-Fi card, do you use?
Well, okay. This one, I have the Buffalo Air Station.
Yeah, very
this
good
one's
card.
this one's connected, and I also have the Orinoco Gold, and this one also connected. So.
Right. Yeah, both cards are really great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that Buffalo because the part which is outside of the Newton is not that big with the other. Yeah, very thin. So it's really great. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Okay.
Okay, guys, I have to go. It was great to see you. And just Pavel, what you just asked, I put it in the chat too. There's an error. It creates 3 lines saying picture, picture, picture. Just delete those lines. The / lines are the first in the source code. And if you delete those, you can compile it and run the code.
Okay. Thanks, Matthias, for showing up.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right.
I'm gonna
take care, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Ronnie, I'm just doing your Bluetooth module now, yeah? I'm soldering, almost done. Almost done. I don't hear you, Ronnie. You're mute.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So should be ready for Monday. So I'm gonna send you Monday that module. So.
Okay.
Have it. Yeah.
Well, I think, but I'm definitely going to transition quickly to the Einstein because I've got something like easily 10 to 15 years worth of text and drawings on the Newton and the PC cards, and I think I've got about 40 or 50 cards. So
nice.
Migrating that to the Einstein environment is probably worth it. Okay, but that's what I will do. I'll end up then with the Mac environment with Einstein, but the client is still in doubt from what I can see. Because we said last time, the iOS environment is not yet ready because of the Apple Store issues. And then it's a matter of trying to find the right client for the Android environment. But I think certainly towards the end of the year, I'd expect for me, the Samsung 9 or the Samsung 8 would probably be about €200, something like that. a refurbished version. That would make quite a good Einstein client. And on that.
All right.
Yeah. Because Simon, I have colleagues working for IBM who told me that they've pulled the plug on Swift running in the IBM environment because they announced that with Apple about 2 or 3 years ago, and so that Swift would then become the new cross-platform. And to me, that was a shame because Swift seemed to have all of the characteristics of being a very, very modern environment. And so Apple and IBM haven't managed the situation particularly well.
Yeah, that's a shame. Yeah, I think it is a modern language.
But does it run on Android as well today? Is there an Android version of Swift today, or?
It's Apple only.
Right. And the Windows, it doesn't run in the Windows environment?
Don't think so.
Right.
You'd need the Xcode environment to build it, and I don't think that's on Windows, is it?
Right. Okay.
It's targeted specifically at Apple products. I think that's the thing.
Right.
They've generated layout algorithms for all their products, which no matter you just say you want a button, for example, and it will give you a button that's the right size and shape for the platform that it's on. And they're not going to do that for every Samsung.
No, okay, that's yeah. So it would have to be an Apple-centric proposition, effectively, in order to. So for you, so if you wanted, because I think Google has this thing called Flutter, which is designed to run across multiple platforms. But then you're saying that you would not. They would have to make it attractive for you to migrate your NCX code to that environment, whereas you don't have to do anything for the Apple environment.
Yes. Well, I don't have to do anything. That's the thing. I'm not a commercial entity.
Yeah.
So I just do whatever appeals to me.
Right.
And I just like the idea of Swift UI being a declarative thing rather than a graphical thing.
Yeah.
And it will take care of a lot of things automatically. So you don't have to place things to the nearest pixel to conform with the user interface guidelines.
Nice. Okay. And it will run in the iOS environment as well today?
Yeah. iOS, iPad OS, macOS, TV OS, and watch OS. Although what NCX would look like on a watch, I don't know.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Who's beeping with his Newton?
I tried sending an email and it seems to be stuck.
So you're killing your Newton. Like an alarm. So my suggestion is just reset Newton.
Is it a mail bug I should be aware of?
That I don't know. I'm not even sure which provider I tried sending it through just now. I just found some old emails sitting in the outbox and thought, oh, let me try sending them now.
Mark, how your battle with the BT module? Mark bought the BT module and he's trying to build the BT module on his own.
Oh yeah, how's that going?
I'm driving. Actually, we're gonna go check out a lake, so we're doing family stuff. But yeah, I've been soldering. I can share pictures later after we park.
All
Halfway
right,
there. I'm waiting for some
All right.
components too.
Good. So please show when you finish that. Please show us your version.
I've just realized when I went to the Mojave environment, I didn't carry across your NCX environment, Simon. So will it run okay in that environment?
It should do, yes.
Okay. Does it have any backup at all support?
The backups it creates are in a special folder, and if you copy that folder, then you're effectively making your own backup.
Ah, okay.
Is that what you mean?
Yes. Yes, because I think what I would do is to, I was talking earlier, is to use NCX to take a backup of the Newton and then vanilla, and then I would then put a card in and then take another backup and then do that for each individual card, and that way then I know then I've got a soft backup of all my cards. Okay?
Yeah, you can do that.
And then what Matthias was talking about earlier was making it a more elegant way of taking a backup of the card.
Yeah, it'd be much nicer to have them in a flashcard format.
Yes.
Because the Newton backups are just only readable by Newton connection. But they're in the application support folder / Newton connection.
Okay, all right. I'll definitely try that then. That's nice on that. Okay, right.
If I was to update Newton connection, since Apple has now, as it does, keeps changing its interfaces to lock down security, I'd have to change the database schema that I currently use, so it would no longer work with old backup files. Is that a deal breaker for you?
Not at the moment, because I mean, I'm going to. I mean, if it works on the Mojave, for me that would be okay, right? But if obviously I ran into a problem, then I would probably want to fix it because what I'd have to then do is to buy an old Mac environment effectively.
Yeah.
And which I've avoided up to now because I've not had the my Newton was working with, I think, was it Sierra? Was it the Sierra version?
Well, I think the current one works with everything. I can't remember how far it goes back.
Right,
it's on the website.
You're saying it's a good chance.
I try it on High Sierra. It's working very nice, and I'm currently on Mojave, so it's working very nice. I didn't try it on Catalina because I don't have Catalina. So, but I'm guessing. Oh, I'm not sure because Catalina is 64.
Yeah,
so
it's 64-bit compatible. I run it on Catalina.
Oh, right. So probably should work. I know Matthias have a Catalina, and he never reported any problem. So I'm guessing that it's working perfectly fine. Yeah. So there's no problem.
Yeah. No, but my plan is to stay on Mojave until the end of 2022, something like that.
Yeah, I have the same plans.
That's I'll do that. So as long as it keeps working until then, okay.
Yeah. should work. I think should work because I'm not changing. I'm not changing to Catalina 2 because Catalina is a lot of problems. Yeah. So I'm not changing.
Yes. Otherwise I'll go back to my the German technique, which is lots and lots of shoe boxes with index cards.
All right.
Oh dear. Because then the other one I'm looking at is the ability to translate a soup into a platform, a Mac format or something like that, a JSON, something like that. And
do you think it's possible? Do you
it is
think
possible because Paul, I posed a question to Paul Guio in many years ago, and he came up with an XML translation of a soup.
All right.
So I would use an XML to JSON type technique. Okay.
All right. But it's possible to convert that both ways. Like convert to XML and back to the soups.
I'd imagine, but it's not been tried because I mean, certainly for my own purposes, I was only looking to go in one direction, okay? Because normally I was created on Newton, and I then want to push it onto, a different platform.
Okay. So just export the data, yeah.
Yeah, because
this method.
Yeah, because normally when you come back the other way, you've got more data and more fillers and stuff. You have to spend a lot of time stripping stuff off.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So there's very little. And my view is that as long as you work with something like the original punch card format, okay, the Newton's able to cope with that reasonably well. And so and that's why I was saying last time that having this this interface which Einstein talked to, which could then translate it into a different format, because I'm pretty sure some of the graphics that's been done on the Newton probably has to be handled in some way. But the way I'm doing that today is I'm just using the database the tool that allows you to work with different notes. Is it Evernote?
Evernote, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what handles that today for me. But Evernote is a way of holding content. It's not a way of pushing data into a different format, and that's why the soup is the way to do that. And I've got his name now. Steve Weyer, is it? He had a package which you could do full development on the Newton. You didn't need to use NTK, and his tool had a lot of utilities for moving and translating the soup format into different, and that was quite a good way. Sloop, does that mean anything to anybody? Sloop, SLOUP?
Yes, I think that was a way of transferring a soup to the desktop.
Yeah, and that's the key to me for continuing to share it with Android or iOS, or it's the same technique. Okay.
Yeah, Ronnie, Steve Weyer created Newtscape.
Yes, yeah, brilliant.
I think he has a couple other packages he created as well.
Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah, I think I used a lot of stuff from him in the past. On that. And I think the other one I was trying to track down the other day was someone wrote an inference engine on the Newton. It was a way of now what was it called again? It's where you pose, you put some information in, and then you then pose the question, and it works out from your question what the answer should be. So it's like, is it Prolog? Prolog? Have you heard of Prolog? Oh, it's like think of it as a decision engine. You know, it's like you store a whole loads of facts, and then you then say, okay, purely based on what you know, what's the answer to this question, and it would then basically on the Newton give you that answer. I think it was called Selden, something like that. Okay, you'll know the word Selden probably towards the end of the year, because there's a book series. Have you come across that? No?
You
No.
went quiet there.
No.
So yeah, well, Apple, is it Apple? I think it is Apple. They're going to announce a new series, and it's based on this foundation, and the main character in that is a character who's thought of how to protect the empire, and he basically puts his plan into action. And so if you want to know anything about knowledge, then Selden is the person who you refer to.
Yes, Harry Selden, prehistory, right?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
there's a Newton package somewhere called Selden, and with
Really?
yeah, and it's very, very good. But unfortunately, when my Newton was stolen, that was one of the casualties, and so I'm still trying to track it down, but I didn't find it. I couldn't find it in the giant repository that's been of all, you know. But it's an excellent package.
Which model of this Newton it was?
Oh, it was it was the one with the faster one, the Pixel solutions. You know, the one where you have the crystal, you can change the speed of the crystal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But which model? Which model it was?
It was 2100 with
2100. Okay.
And it also had the interface, so you could connect the cable directly into the Newton. You didn't need a dongle.
All right. Okay. So that was the serial board with the serial.
It also had a blue screen. Somebody came
All
out.
right.
So I was yeah.
So
I'm pretty sure who stole it.
Someone stole it from you.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure they must have just searched the bag for money and then just thrown it into a skip. Okay.
What a shame.
Yeah.
The
I put a search code on eBay and various other engines to see if it ever popped up.
Yeah.
But it never did. It never did.
Right.
So yeah.
It's a shame. Blue screen and the Pixel module.
Yeah. Because the Pixel thing added 2 to 3 years to it, because every time I did a search or I did a calculation, it was really quite fast.
Right.
And it made it very, very practical. And I have very large hands, so the Newton was always a handheld device for me. It wasn't. Some of my colleagues with much smaller hands than normal hands thought I was carrying a laptop, but if your hands are large enough, it is actually a very good handheld device.
Yeah. Shame that people steal equipment. Not nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Forrest, you're very quiet today. He went somewhere, probably.
I've got to go somewhere now too. So
Yeah.
thanks everybody. It's been great to see you all again.
Thank you,
And
Simon.
until next time.
Yeah.
Great to
Today
see
is
you,
very.
Simon.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
Simon.
Thank you, Simon. See ya.
Thank you, Simon.
Oh, Forrest
Today-
is back.
Yeah. Forrest, you disappear for a moment.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had some stuff to do, and I couldn't turn on the
No.
video because there was too much activity behind me. So
All right. Okay.
I've been
Yeah.
here the whole time. I just wasn't. There's a few moments here when I was not. I
Okay.
was not
So,
as much of a participant.
yeah. Today we have a very quiet session. So.
I was trying to think of some things we could talk about. Because we seem like we always have lots of questions during the week on Noon Talk, and then when it comes to these things, it seems like we don't we forget them or something. I don't know what happens, but yeah.
Yeah, we should have a kind of list of questions for the for the next session. That will be
I mean, Newton Talk was kind of quiet this week, so I don't really.
maybe maybe people just going holiday or something.
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely the holiday period as well. Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Even today, how many of us was? No, 10 of us at the peak.
Mhm.
Yeah, but now it's 7. Yeah, so.
Well, no, but to me, when Matthias came out with all that, with the information on the PCMCIA card,
Yeah, that was really nice.
that was, to me, was quite a good reason for attending. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
almost like opening up another room to a house you didn't in your house you didn't know existed for that. Because I mean, the potential and possibilities for that are so big. I mean, I am still thinking about all the different things you could do with that.
I mean, because I mean, I have, as I was saying earlier, I've got, I mean, certainly around 50 cards. I mean, if Einstein's big enough, okay, you don't need 50 cards. You just need.
No, you don't.
So it's the PCMCI was a problem because of the Newton couldn't cope. It didn't have enough to memory in order to to hold all of the. So Einstein doesn't. Well, today we can say doesn't need that much, and but 32 megabytes is not a lot on modern day standards.
Well, exactly. But we talked about that before. I remember I had a laptop in '98. It was an old Toshiba laptop.
Yeah.
And I bought a 500 megabyte hard drive. And the guys at the computer store looked at me like, well, you're never going to fill this up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 500 megabytes is nothing now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, 2 gigabytes seems small now, So, yeah, I mean, for the technology, I think Newton probably had enough memory requirements. But it's like Matthias was saying, you can only access so much of the card at a time because of the table, the volume table of contents. And if you could put, a 2 megabyte or 2 gigabyte card in a Newton, excuse me, but unless you partition it, you're not going to be able to access it.
Mm-hmm.
You would have to have a whole bunch of partitions in there to be able to read it. So, yeah. But I agree with you, Ronnie. I think what you'd have to do is get that stuff off those cards and put them somewhere where you have a better hard storage. Like your Mac would seem to be an ideal thing, and then back that up too.
Yeah, and that's what he was talking about earlier. He did say that he was going to make what he's just done available, and that and I would then use that straight away just to migrate all my cards. Okay.
Right.
And then and then because those cards are quite stable, but they're not useful for anything else today.
Matthias said a couple of weeks ago too that it's like he has old. I think I don't know if it was him or Frank that said they have old high-speed data. The data tapes, the digital tapes, and so on. And they're not. The tapes are stretched, and they're not. They're not good anymore. Even magnetic media doesn't hold up. So yeah, redundancy is key. The more copies you make of something, the better off you are, and the less likely you are you're going to lose it.
Yeah.
This is
Go ahead.
my goal for the next, kind of few weeks. I want to make a backup of all my newtons, and the cards I have, because you never know. Yeah, usually PCMCIA cards are quite good because they hold the data without any problems during the years, but you never know what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Someone will decide to discover kind of EMP device, and then there can be problem. Yeah.
Ronnie, you talked about how you had a Newton stolen and that stuff on it. I can sympathize with you with that, because I had a computer bag that had a cheap laptop I used to travel with, and I had some other accessories in there, and it got stolen from a convenience store. I made the mistake of carrying it in a convenience store and left it unattended for like 10 seconds, and it was gone. And I was really pissed off about that, mostly because I knew what you said. It got thrown in a dumpster.
Yeah.
They went through it looking for money. They didn't care about the hardware, and they figured, well, this is junk. I don't want this. And it ended up in a dumpster. Now it's in a landfill. I searched. I remember driving around the neighborhood looking at every dumpster I could find, because I knew that's what they did with it. But, it makes you sick, because what are you going to do? I mean, it doesn't mean anything to them. They're only looking for money and stuff. And there wasn't even any money or anything in there. It was just a computer bag.
Yeah.
So that's disgusting.
Yeah, but the key is just that was to have a sensible backup for all of the packages and data. Okay, so I wasn't caught out from that point, but not being able to get the Pixel solutions, because they'd already announced they were never
Right.
going to continue.
Right.
And, and that's where it becomes, because when you're on the edge of when you're you can touch the end of the technology, then you're in a very, very difficult position. Okay, you need some sort of fallback. And I mean, you can say it never happened. I mean, to me, it happened with DOS. It happened with OS2. Okay, so and I have again lots and lots of stuff which I can't. There's no emulator that exists for those. For DOS, probably yes, but OS2 no. So anything I wrote on that or had available packages, they're just gone. They can't never. Whereas with the Newton and Einstein, there's a strong possibility that we can actually, keep it going.
Yeah, the solution I have for that is, unfortunately, and my wife will tell you, unfortunately, I basically just have a whole bunch of old computers and PCs, old Macs and PCs, and then I don't have to worry about having anything that runs on it, because I just go over here and use this one. So, I have a storage unit full of old monitors. That the only reason I have the monitor is if the display ever goes out on a unit, I have to have something that's compatible. Like I have a lot of old, what were they called? Before VGA, CGA, old CGA monitors and that kind of stuff, Hercules stuff. Yeah, I mean, because if like I have, like for example, this thing here, is something I'm working on right now. This is an old Data General, and I the first Data General '98, and here, and whoops, and it didn't have a hard drive. It was just floppies. It's a 8C088 system processor. Okay.
Wow.
This actually has a floppy, but it also has a hard drive. Okay.
Well, it's a laptop.
Yeah, it was actually Data General called it the first practical laptop, and it really is a laptop.
Wow.
It really, I mean, it has a handle here. The early ones didn't have handles. The original Data General one didn't have a handle, but this actually is functional. I mean, it's the biggest problem you have with it right now is if you write anything on here, you're going to have a hard time porting it to another system because it's a DOS-based system. And you're going to have, if you write anything in WordPerfect, you're pretty much going to have WordPerfect on another computer. And it's almost like you have to go through a series of steps to be able to convert it to something you can use. That's the biggest problem with it. I mean, with the Mac, you can use an old Mac, and basically, you know, anything that you wrote in, let's say, you know, an old word processing environment, whatever it is, you know, most of that stuff, you know, they had ways to convert it to more modern stuff as you went.
Mm-hmm. But
the problem with this is so old that, you know, I'm going to have to learn how to use WordPerfect if I want to use it. And the thing that's nice about it is this keyboard here, it's just like an IBM Selectric keyboard. I mean, they really went to a lot of trouble to make a nice keyboard here. So the keyboard is really a nice, clicky keyboard that's really nice to write on. But again, you know, that's one of the things I've been working on here. I put my Newton aside for a little bit, unfortunately, to do this. You know, because I want to get, and it also has this, which, oh, wait a minute, it's out of there right now. This is actually, hang on a second, I'll show you this. Where is it?
Oh, he's at the lake.
So this is the battery.
Oh my God.
There's a shot of the lake. I took you guys out on a tour of Alberta here.
Really?
Yeah, I might fly the drone. I won't fly my Newton, but I'll fly my drone over there maybe.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'm in the process of building this battery pack right now.
We'll see you later.
All right, Mark.
Later, Mark.
See ya, Mark.
Yeah, I'll watch this later.
Yeah, so it does have a battery. It's a 12. It's basically you use sub-C cells, and it's a 12-volt battery. It takes 10 sub-C cells, and you build them, and then you can run the thing. The battery life on the thing's like 12 hours.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Anyway.
Yeah.
It's a monochrome screen, you know, nothing fancy. So anyway. Yeah, so that's my solution, Ronnie. Is I just, if I get something it won't run on anything, I just one of my computers is bound to run it.
Yeah, but to me, it's like, was it twice bitten, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like yeah, but the nice thing, Microsoft have just announced that Basic, their original Basic, is now available and with no restrictions. And they did exactly the same thing with Windows 95. And Windows 95, there's a version that runs on the Mac. So therefore, since Windows 95 is inside of it is basically DOS, there is a strong chance that any program that used to run on DOS will run today on a number of different devices. Whereas, you know, that's not true for the Mac, of course. It's quite a lot of, you have to, you know, worry about, is it PowerPC generation or with the Intel, and now it's going to, you know. So Microsoft's got a good record in being able to keep the programs running.
Wasn't Windows 7 the first Windows that you couldn't run DOS on? Because all the ones you could run DOS inside the Windows shell.
Yeah, Windows NT was the.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah,
I know. I have some machines with Windows 95 on it, which I much prefer over. I have Windows 95 and 98 on some of my machines, and you can run the DOS window in the environment.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, but I don't think you can do that starting with Windows 7. Would you say it was actually NT that you couldn't do it?
Yeah, because I mean they killed off Windows 7 because of the because they said they wouldn't provide any more security updates for it.
Right.
And otherwise, it's a very it's a functional environment. It does what it, you know.
Right.
It says on.
Well, I have dual boot on my MacBook Pro, so I have El Capitan on. It's an older MacBook Pro, so I can't do anything too new with it. But I had upgraded from El Capitan to, I forget what the next one was.
Sierra.
What the next step was Sierra, and it just didn't run. I mean, they put a patch.
Yosemite, or I got
Yosemite, yeah. But I mean, they had. There's a way that you can run it. You can bypass the Apple security patch, and you can run it. See it, Doug. But you can run the security patch and run Yosemite, but it slowed the machine down so much it was not usable. So I went backwards and went back to El Capitan. But I have that, and then on the other side, I have Windows 7, but I need to, the dual boot, I need to try to upgrade to Windows 7 to Windows 10, because like you said, there's no more security for it, and a lot of stuff won't run.
So my question for you is, how do you said you went back. Is that because you had your own backup disks to do that?
Yes.
Or was that,
I had my own, I had a backup, and I made a backup before I did it, because they said, you know, before you try this, make sure you back up your system. And there's a way that you can do it, but it's not easy. And it was really probably the most difficult thing I've ever done with this, because what you had to do is you had to wipe the drive. And I also have security on there too. It's really, I forget what the name Apple uses for it, but it's a security where, you know, after so many tries, basically it wipes out the drive.
wow.
Because I was traveling with that laptop. Now I'm not traveling with it, but I don't really need it on there now. But I was traveling with it. I was terrified somebody would get a hold of it and get my stuff that was on there. So, but what I did is you basically wipe the drive, and then you install El Capitan, and then you use the migration assistant. But you can't use the migration assistant because obviously it's a newer version. So what you have to do is they have a modified, I think it was a modified migration assistant that you could take an old backup, but basically, I mean, you know, so what you had to do is when you made your backup.
Yeah. I'd have lost the will to live before then.
Well, when you made your backup, you had to completely put that backup to the side.
Yeah.
Because if you infected that backup with any of the stuff on Yosemite, it wouldn't run.
Right.
So when you made your backup, you put the backup off to the side, and then if you needed to, you just reinstalled El Capitan and just use a migration assistant to pull it across. Which it really wasn't, that part wasn't hard. The problem was I had mistakenly used a backup that I then got infected, so to speak, with Yosemite, and that was really difficult because apps wouldn't run now. And the whole operating system was like, I got kernel panic and all kinds of stuff happened. And that's when I realized, well, wait a minute, this isn't the right backup. I need to go back and get the backup that I made this for El Capitan, and then it was okay. But yes, I mean, but you know, I got nag screens when Yosemite, I think it was, first came out. I got nag screens for like 6 months. Upgrade to Yosemite. It's easy. No. Because you couldn't run Yosemite on it. And what was funny is when you tried to run Yosemite on it, it would tell you it won't work on this Mac. And it's so odd because the MacBook Pro, this is a late 2009 MacBook Pro. And the MacBook, the regular MacBook, ran with no problems. But yet the MacBook Pro, for some reason, would not run Yosemite. And I mean, if you looked at it, it was like, well, wait a minute, how is it that the MacBook Pro won't run it, which is supposedly the better machine, but yet the MacBook will, and it's less processing power and less good machine, but yet this will run the new update, but the other one won't? It doesn't make any sense to me. So I just figured, well, I'm not going to worry about it. I rarely use the Mac now anyway. I mean, I use it for some stuff. Mostly I just use an iPad Pro and stuff for my stuff.